CFM Radio, we are live.
We are once again live. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's time for your weekly dose of video game music and news.
Video game music and news. I'm Vector. That's Drix. We're here.
Yo.
It is Wednesday, May the 7th in 2025. Here we go, Drix. Drix, I gotta tell you, I loved WrestleQuest this week. It was a great comeback because, oh my god, there was no fucking cliffhanger.
Yeah, satisfaction of a sweet boss fight wrestling match, tag teaming with one of my alligator buddies over in Junglaji and fighting the bad boy, the sheep, and his fish friend.
Happy Wednesday, M. Stonewall C. So happy of you to join us for CFM Radio, video game music and news. It is definitely going to be a fun Wednesday. We've got video game reviews. We're reviewing MotoGP 25.
Ooh.
We had our impressions last week. The impressions video is going to go up tomorrow. So if you missed that, you won't need to sift through all of those all of the whole stream. You'll just be bam, smack dab right there. So you could see how we felt before and now how we feel, because Drix, I gotta tell you, I can't wait to talk about this game. But before we jump into all of that, quick preview for the rest of the rundown. Of course, we have new game releases coming up a little bit later in the show, one of my personal favorite segments. Then me and Drix are talking the GTA 6 trailer. Just came out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
16 million views in 3 hours. I watched it not too long ago, and yeah, it's something you should check out and worth talking about further online.
Absolutely. And you know what? Again, another thing that we can't wait to talk about, because I came away with pretty positive impressions. But before we jump into the entire thing, we have a special conclusion. I call it the end of an era. That's at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I can't wait to share you with that one. Believe you me, if you've been listening to CFM Radio for any length of time, especially during the early Game Pass years, let's say.
Yeah,
Then,
it's our story arc.
yeah, the early Game Pass years, you definitely want to stick around for the whole show, because man, oh man, CFM Radio, we got a great night.
Yeah, stunning conclusions like another episode of Dragon Ball or something.
And you know what, Drix? I think we are going to hit the ground running, because you know what? WrestleQuest, we saw that over on Twitch, twitch.tv/CFM on Twitch. That's where all the gameplay happens.
Yeah, had some fun over there last Monday.
Definitely want to check that one out. Again, not a cliffhanger, so the VOD is going to be a perfect sit down and long watch. Really, really great amount of combat, and actually a couple close calls.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, watch me narrowly escape the brink of death and wiping your team.
Yeah, pretty one of those games that, just because of the genre, turn-based RPG, you cannot underestimate it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good time when you dig into the moves, matchups, characters, WrestleQuest, and of course the voiceover work of our good friend Patrick Hickey Jr., who's been on the show before.
Yes, Patrick Hickey Jr., author of the minds behind the games and owner proprietor of Legacy Comics with an X.
Legacy Comics.
And you know what? We're having a lot of fun right now. And let's keep the ball rolling, because we are going to roll out onto the asphalt. It's MotoGP 25. Drix, I'm just going to come right out and say it. We had our impressions last week. We played it on the PS5, me and Drix. Drix, I love this game.
Yeah, it's night and day kind of contrast from the last review I did from the same developer, but different motorsport, Monster Supercross. 25. Not quite the EA annual sports simulations that could be, but yeah, this was a much better experience as far as being kind of a newcomer to the sport and how it presents itself, and a lot more in-depth controls and feedback. Let me tell you.
Well, hey, we're going to talk a lot about feedback specifically a little bit later, but you know what, Drix? I'm right there with you. MotoGP 25 is excellent. It's a legacy series. You know, it's been around since the original PlayStation days, and you know, you never really think that these you were right, less than EA, I guess.
Yeah,
annualized series.
Great quality though.
Yeah, they've got a lot. So the quality is great to me, but it's all focused in one area, and Drake's, that's the gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. The driving, the rubber that actually hits the road.
Yep.
As far as your experience on the track and behind the two wheels.
Yeah.
Or on top of them, I should say.
Yeah, while riding on the moto. So it's MotoGP 25 sports simulation game. You know what? First, like, you know, there is an inclusion of the arcade mode. I'm using it right now as my character in my career mode run right here. It's not the regular mode. The regular mode this is what the game says. The regular mode is the pro mode, but the game itself defaults to arcade because it is the easier control scheme. Now, what arcade really allows you to do is it allows you to just get a grip on the front wheel and the back wheel in a very, very accessible way. You don't really need to worry about momentum too much. You definitely need to still worry about it. You're gonna watch me wipe out. Yeah, and this is still on arcade mode, but you don't need to worry too much about like the intricate things, how like pulling precisely on the throttle versus like holding back precisely on the brakes, when to shift gears, when to not shift gears. Arcade mode just kind of allows you to be the MotoGP hero and like be flying around these corners at like holding on to like fourth gear, right? Holding on to fourth gear, fifth gear, and you're just flying around these things. And you know, when you switch it over to the pro mode, it does get a lot more kinetic, let's say. You know?
Yeah. more immersive, even as far as the feel of the controls go.
Yes. And immersion, Drix, I think we were talking about this a little bit before the show. Immersion is the name of the game right here, right?
Yeah. This is a sport that a lot of people dedicate a lot of their time and money and parts of their lives to just going real fast on the motorcycle and making suicidally low turns.
and you know, it's one of those things where I love one of the my favorite modes is the career mode, because the career mode really allows you to appreciate the lifestyle that these guys live. You know, these guys go like, when you're doing these career mode races, you're not just like, oh, talking to the PR people and like texting people like you are in like a Madden game. It's not just that. It's also you start on the weekend of the contest, so that you start doing like 45-minute, half-hour time trials that you could quit out at any time, right? And it'll take like the best time.
Or skip over.
Yeah, you could skip over. But I gotta tell you, you know, these guys, they just ride all weekend, and I found myself doing the same thing. I didn't know that I would get so into just the feeling of the speed, the learning how to precisely take a turn, figuring out what the pit crew should do. You know what I mean? How I really want my bike to feel. And again, the arcade mode doesn't give you a huge range. The pro mode does. The arcade mode doesn't give you a giant range of like customizable feel, but it still is there to a surprising degree. So yeah, I had a great time as far as that, because again, yeah, I skip over a couple of these races, but there are times where I would just come home and pop on MotoGP and then do the weekend practice time trial, and you know what? I raced the whole 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in taking the turns, and even the tutorial, the academy mode. If you're stuck on a track in career mode, you can hit the academy and like run each section of the track. It's divided into like 4 pieces, and you can dive into the nitty-gritty study of like every turn of these actual tracks from around the world.
And you definitely do feel the globe trotting, right, in this game.
Yeah.
You are everywhere. You're going from Southeast Asia, Argentina, a lot of Europe. Like,
Yep.
France. Yeah, Spain, France, and you even get to do a little dirt biking. There's some mini games. I do love the alternative modes. They are like mini games. It's like different kinds of bikes, not just Moto GP bikes, because there is Moto 2, and Moto 3 starting shorthand for you start in third gear, you start in second gear, you start in first gear, which do have very different, distinct feels, gotta say.
Oh, yeah. The detail is in the bikes and how it feels.
And really, a quick aside, you're talking about details, Drix, I'm assuming this is your B-roll, because I think you're seeing the neural assist in the right-hand corner when the little blue parts pop up. Because
yeah, I played with mad AI training wheels, I'm not going to lie. And that's part of what I really loved about the game is this went so much farther than the last review for Supercross. You can modulate the amount of control that it influences to keep you on the best possible path, and I can't stress enough that I wish I had that kind of depth in the feedback from not only just taking the wheels, but the color of the path indicator. It tells you how much like throttle to apply, and even with the assist on the neural steering, turning, and braking, you're still really rewarded for having the controls in the right position as far as brake and throttle go and steering. You're not like winning any races because of it. Like, you still have to try, and it's enough of a challenge that makes hitting every turn just like almost hypnotizing, you know.
I agree.
You can sit there and qualify for like 7 laps, and it's a good time.
Yeah, there's a lot of accessibility options. I didn't use any of the neural accessibility options. You don't really see it a lot in my B-roll, but in my B-roll, you see me crashing a lot more. So and using the rewind feature. So there's the rewind feature, which allows you to roll back. And I'm gonna briefly touch on the online mode. I did play 2 races, and that was really all I could stomach, because it forces you into the pro mode, and I'm not opposed to that. But when you get into the pro controls, it is advertised as the classic way to play MotoGP. These controls are crazy kinetic, crazy, like, in depth, and the feeling that you get on the haptic feedbacks is actually a little bit more reactive when you are in pro mode. That I did notice. And when I mentioned the haptic feedbacks, and because I mentioned it earlier as well, because Drix, you and I were also talking about this before the show, and we want to make it really, really clear that we played this on the PS5 because on CFM Radio, we don't normally go around and look at other outlets' reviews. We really want to just take the game at face value and give you our straight up fresh opinions. But this was a game that we were able to give our first impressions on last week, and the dust kind of settled with it over the week because it wasn't a huge release, kind of got overshadowed. But you'll see it's kind of got mixed reviews. And a lot of the mixed reviews, the 6s and the 5s, are coming from the Xbox, and they're coming from the PC ports of the game. And I don't think
Steam 6 out of 10.
Yeah, and I don't think that necessarily comes from a really performance issue or a graphical issue. Honestly, what I think it really comes from is a gameplay feel issue. And one of the main reasons why that brings me to that conclusion is because, Drix, well, we're going to tell you our score later, but it's not exactly low. And I think really one of the things that brings you into the experience of MotoGP 25 is the PlayStation 5 controller and the haptics that it offers.
Yeah, so much so it can really make or break the entire experience for you. I understand why the other platforms might say such things.
And Stonewall C, yeah, it is a little Mario Karty with the track assist, but boy, when you try to play with it without it, oh my god. Like, you better be an ace at judging your turns.
Yeah, I wanted to try to advance and progress in career mode, but even then, like, I probably topped out at like 7th, maybe 5th place.
Yeah.
But it was worth doing and getting good at it. You can see the learning curve is there, and it's pretty steep. And like we said when we were talking about it before the show, it's up to you if you want to like walk it or not.
Yeah. The path is clear, and you definitely it's there for you to walk. And
you saw it online in the internet ocean.
M Stonewall C, absolutely. The HD haptic feedback on the PS5 is pretty cool and an underrated feature. Absolutely underrated, because this game, I think, the experience and the level of immersion is defined by its integration with the PS5 haptic feedback controller. The amount of control that you have over the brake and the throttle, that the resistance on those triggers gives you, I personally really, that's what I ended up rewinding and really trying to search for, is the trigger feel. Because it almost felt like it clicked into place, and like you were feeling the road of least resistance while riding it. That's the best way I could describe it.
100%. It was exactly what it feels like. That's what I felt behind the triggers.
Yeah, and you know, it sounds cheesy, right? It's like, oh man, the controller really got me in there, but it really did. It really made me feel like, all right, I've really got to like hold the brake, not fully, just a little bit, but I really got to let go of the throttle. And then I could get that turn and then just fucking punch it immediately when I need to. You know what I mean? And then I get all the speed, and then you feel the gear shift into the 4th, 5th, 6th gear, and you hear the whistle and the screaming of the engines. Oh my god, it's so awesome. You feel entrenched in the game experience, and man, it feels so good to play. I loved that feeling of MotoGP, simply because you have I haven't felt a level of control in a game like that. And again, I'm only playing it on the arcade mode primarily. I only dip my toe into the pro mode. And when I'm feeling this haptic feedback, I could feel my mistake. I could feel when I needed to really push down hard on the throttle trigger, and like when to ease up, let go, or even when to pop it, right? When it was one of those things where it's like, oh, this is one of those turns where I need to like kind of flutter my trigger. So it's like, you know, like it really brought me into the experience.
Yes, absolutely. It makes or breaks a lot when it comes to the gameplay and how it feels. I dipped my toes into the pro mode, but I still had the neural AI training wheels on, and it feels great. It feels wonderful.
It was really, it really is a gameplay defining element. I was very surprised, and I'm not gonna lie, it feels incredibly impressive. This MotoGP 25, even if it's not your thing, and it definitely has its downsides. It doesn't. As you're seeing right now, the visuals kind of bland. There's like no crowd. Like you could hear them, but you can't really see them. Like there's no one like hanging out on the sides. You know what I mean? Like
sound just kind of whizzes by every time you do a lap. Like, oh, there's the crowd. They're having a good time.
Like most of the things look great in motion, right? When you're like fucking flying by in fifth gear and swinging around the turns, but everything. Just take a look.
The characters, guys. You can see they didn't want to animate like human facial expressions
just take a look.
when you do see them.
Yeah, you take a look. You have these little pre-game, pre-race, like interview segments, right? To really like try to sell you that like, oh man, this is the experience. Those are nowhere near an EA Madden game in presentation. No. Like
not 2K. It doesn't look like you're watching sports on TV necessarily.
Not at all. I will say you've got the logos. The logos look great. Like
I rode Honda.
The machines are awesome. Oh man, I took that dude out. Like the machines are awesome, but and they sound great, and the sense of speed is like top notch.
Palpable.
Yeah, you really feel it. It's another one of those things that you're feeling, especially when you especially if you go start off roading your controller. Oh my god, it doesn't feel like, it feels like it's moving up and down. Like
the focus as it should be like in any sports simulation game was clearly on like the physics.
Yeah. So with all of that, again, this is even if MotoGP 25 isn't your cup of tea, even if this kind of game isn't the kind of game that you normally play, or even something that you even wouldn't even look at, if you own a PS5, yeah, right, same.
I'm that guy.
Yeah, if you own a PS5, you kind of owe it to yourself to get the game, because if for no reason. This is a really, really good technical showcase of a game that runs at a really high frame rate and takes full advantage of all of the features that are in the controller, from the rumble to the triggers to the on-controller speaker audio, right?
Yeah.
Like it is insane.
It lets you know why the PS5 controller goes for $80 or whatever.
Yeah,
here's why.
Seriously, it really makes you feel like the controller is on display fully. I loved MotoGP 25. I really, really loved flying around corners. I loved learning how to play the game. I haven't had this much fun learning a game genre since I started really learning fighting games back when I was a kid. And
climbing that steep curve.
Playing MotoGP 25 really made me want to take that journey with this game. And now, as somebody who knows the time investment on a journey like that, I don't think I will jump in cannonball style, but you know what? MotoGP 25 might just stay on my dashboard for longer than I think. Like,
you can see the mountains and the valleys from where we're standing, how far it could go up. And if you don't want to climb it, there's a lot of other features.
Yeah, and they're all really, really fun, and that's why, Ben, I think I'm giving MotoGP 25 a 4 out of 5. You really, really owe it to yourself if you own a PS5 to check this game out. It shows you the power of that little controller in your hands. I loved it, Drix.
Yeah, I got to play it too. Got to echo everything you said, even though we came at the gameplay from like different paths and different sides of it, we got a really nice whole picture of MotoGP 25.
Yeah, we totally
again night and day from Monster Energy Supercross 25.
Yeah, we totally. I think it's a testament to the honestly the craftsmanship of the game. How Drix and I really just, like he said, we took two completely different ways, our methods of playing the game, and we both came to the exact same conclusion. We met in the middle because this game really is just like that. You really do feel everything that is important to not just the experience of riding, but I would argue to the lifestyle of the athlete.
Yes. Real and digital.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I give it a 4 out of 5. Drix, 4 out of 5 as well, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, no, 100%. 4 out of 5. We are of one mind.
Yeah. 4 out of 5, MotoGP, loved it. Check it out if you own a PS5. If you don't have a PS5, maybe skip it.
Yeah. Enjoy your mids gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, you know what, Drix, MotoGP 25, great game, but this little retro tune, I'm loving it. What are we listening to?
Yeah, another, one of my MotoGP motorsport experiences, Super Hang On for the Sega Genesis. This is a classic jam called Outride a Crisis.
Outride a Crisis, CFM Radio. We'll be back with new releases. CFM Radio, we are back.
We are back and live as we are every Wednesday with video game music and news. That song, since we're talking about GTA 6 a little bit later in the show, is from GTA 5. If anybody has played the Arena War online mode, that was all done by a band named Health. It's a pretty like synth wavy songs in that expansion where the cars fight each other. But that song was called No God in Thunderdome, one of the vocal songs by Health on the soundtrack to Arena War for GTA 5.
GTA 5, a game that has transcended generations. People played GTA 5 on the PlayStation 3, Tricks.
Yup. Consoles later, like a Skyrim, but with more content.
Yeah, you're telling me way more content.
Quote-unquote content, user-made or otherwise.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Whatever you constitute as content. But you know what? It's new content, new games.
Yeah, speaking of new content, as we do every week, we have new releases to talk about.
New releases, and the first one we are going to talk about is a little one that we saw hyped up a lot on the PlayStation States of Play, like when they did like the big play showcases, but we didn't hear a lot, and it's coming out pretty soon. It is The Midnight Walk.
Yeah, this actually caught my eye on one of the preview showcases we watched. Play, man, here we go, but done a little bit creepier than Harold the Halibut.
Yeah, Harold the Halibut, but creepy. From the Steam page, quote, follow the Midnight Walk in a dark adventure from the minds behind Lost in Random. Befriend a lost lantern creature and light your way through a world of wonder and terror. Outsmart monsters and marvel at details in a landscape handcrafted with real clay and animated in stop motion. And Drix, this is a PSVR title, and also is Steam VR. Also, you can play it on Steam VR. And The Midnight Walk releases for PC via Steam and PS5 tomorrow, Thursday, May 8th.
Yeah, seems like a VR must play if you're into horror on those devices and if you have one.
Yep, definitely something for the VR fans out there. The Midnight Walk. I know that the PSVR has been a little starved, so definitely one to pick up.
Yeah, thirsty for some virtual reality.
Next up, we have Imperial.
Yeah, quite the action RPG we've got coming up.
From the Steam page, quote, Imperial is a complex, challenging, feature-rich action RPG. In a far-flung corner of the galaxy, an expedition revives on a hitherto unexplored planet to find a colossal monolith built by a lost civilization.
Yes. Get ready to give a deep dive into some ancient ruins.
And we are going to dive and face the dangerous peril of Imperial because it releases tomorrow, May 8th, for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles.
Yeah. Coming to everything.
Absolutely. And, Drix, there's a lot of great games coming on. And there's, MotoGP, we've had, Expedition 33, still going crazy. People, talking about a Netflix show for that game, all this crazy stuff.
Yep, definitely overshadowed the haptic feedback of MotoGP.
Yeah, unfortunately. Hey, you know what, though, guys?
For this week, it'll catch on.
MotoGP, we're telling you, if you have a PS5, you gotta get MotoGP 25.
Yeah, it's worth experiencing.
But
to get the most out of your controller.
That's the new releases for the week. We are going to come on back after this warm piano melody we've got going on here. Drix, what are we listening to?
This is from a classic PS1 RPG, Legend of Dragoon. Gonna have some feelings with a song called Queen Fury.
Oh, Queen Fury, Legend of the Dragoon. We'll be back. CFM Radio, we are back.
In case you aren't familiar with that little theme, that was from South Park: The Stick of Truth, the Princess Kenny theme.
Yeah, and if you have not played South Park: The Stick of Truth, oh my god!
What I call the PS3 360 generation, but it was also on PC.
Yeah, I mean, man,
clearly.
If you love Paper Mario and you grew up with that kind of game, you owe it to yourself to play South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Yeah, it's just a filthy Paper Mario.
Yeah, it is a rancid Paper Mario.
As South Park has been since like 1998. They also got a great pinball machine. I like it. Hit or miss with some people, but South Park pinball is fun. You heard it from me.
I'll take it from you. You are the pinball guy. But Drix, I do believe it's time for some gaming news. And you know what? We're just going to throw it right up here on the stream right now. Give me 1 second because we're just going to talk the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer. Drix, this game looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. This is the trailer that movie trailers wish they were.
Yeah, no kidding.
The Quentin Tarantino of advertising clips.
Very, very insane detail. Like, everything about this trailer, just from start to finish, makes you want to play the game.
Yeah, it looks sick and super story based. Still very cinematic. It was a mix of some gameplay and some footage, and it was on PS5 hardware. So
regular
all the visuals
PS5.
that we're everything we're gonna take home with us when we finally get a chance to take this game home.
And so like it's interesting that like we got all those little tidbits about that earlier today. This game or this trailer came out earlier in the week, but Drix, I think this is what everybody thought that we were gonna like. This is the game that people thought all games were gonna, right? Like everyone thought this was gonna be like just gaming, right?
Yeah. Quite the controversy that we hadn't seen since like Mortal Kombat fatalities and like the franchise.
Yeah, like as far as like graphics, the lighting, the voice acting, just the immersive cinematic qualities of everything in this trailer, and the fact that it's partial gameplay, partial like cinematic in-game cinematics is pretty wild that it's running on just base PS5 hardware.
Yeah, I mean, wow, it's been a staple in Sony hardware for ages.
Like I said, I think this is really the game. I don't want to call it like the game of the generation, but I think this is the game that most people, when they got their PS5s, thought that they were going to be playing games that looked like this, that like had this kind of attitude, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
Like you said, that Quentin Tarantino-esque.
Yeah, I mean, even Rockstar definitely is the company, with all the time they put into the last Red Dead Redemption game. If they're going to make you wait, it's probably very creative. And, who knows? Maybe the world has changed and they need another year to make it reflect the times as a lot of art forms should. Yeah,
I mean, you're right. Leave it to Rockstar to push the medium of gaming forward, right? Like, because all this just looks next level to me. And, like, imagine all this stuff, like, multiplayer. Like, oh, my God. Like,
yep. Can't wait to hear the soundtrack. Like, are you kidding me?
100 songs.
Who knows? It could be all over the place, but it's it's going to be like, oh, the generation defining,
100 songs, Drix.
Nice. That is a cool playlist.
Yep. It's going to be definitely a game I want to check out. And, like, I'm not like a GTA guy. I didn't go crazy for GTA 5. I wasn't like, I'm not like, oh man, GTA Online RP. I'm not like, not my scene. But I can't
like
lie.
The idea and hold the space for it.
Yeah, I like the idea too. It holds like a special place in my heart. But like, as far as like actually playing the game, I played GTA 3, GTA 5. I thought the story was okay. It wasn't really like my kind of deal, but you know what? This game looks like just one of those games where, listen, if you have the hardware, you might as well play it.
Yeah, and if you're, of the mature age where you're able to make a purchase like this at a store, whether you have to or not.
So,
or if you have to, yank a credit card.
Let's talk that purchase. So, Drix, do you think, especially with the Switch 2's games becoming hit the price tag that they are, do you think that this game is going to be $100, or do you think it's going to be $80? Because $80 is pretty much $100.
Yeah, they're gonna figure out a way to squeeze that last 20 out of you anyway. So.
You really think so? Like from on the sticker, you think so?
I don't know. I mean, even if they have to do it in the downloadable content later, or however the online play turns out,
Oh, totally. Oh,
if you give it like a year, 2-3 years, and like, there will be like an online booster pack that'll help you. Man, just the criminal enterprises in GTA Online. That was role playing, whether you liked it or not,
Right.
And getting your crews together to do those missions and the amount of stuff they added eventually. Like, they will add something.
Yeah, they're gonna add a lot, and it's one of those things. Because here, I'll say it like this. A lot of people are like freaking out. They're like, "Oh my God, this game's gonna be like sticker price $100." I really don't think it's gonna be sticker price $100. I think that this game is gonna be $80, like Mario Kart. I think if you're gonna pay $80 for Mario Kart, you're gonna pay $80 for GTA, and you're gonna like it.
Yep.
You know, like it's not.
How long did you wait for it? You're gonna let $20 stop you?
Yeah, exactly. Right. At this point, 10 games were $70. You know, like.
Yeah. Wait until what? Christmas 2026.
Yeah. You know, so this game is definitely, everyone's going to buy this game. Again, if you don't own a PS5, you're probably going to end up buying one because the PC specs are probably going to be ridiculous. And
if physical shipments happen, you know, you'll be able to pick one up at some kind of discount.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this isn't going to be one of those games either, right? Where like you're going to see it once, and you're never going to see it again, like fucking Shin Megami Tensei 5, right? Like this game is going to be out there. You're always going to be able to pick up a box copy. This game will probably even go down to $60 at some point, just to get you in the door, right?
Yeah. Or I wonder if they'll split the online half again, like they did
right.
with
Yeah,
5 too.
they could totally sell the online as a different product.
Yeah. Slash prices, but who knows? Maybe by the time it comes out, the online will probably be like a skeleton crew.
Yeah, seriously. So that's GTA 6. I can't wait. I'm actually really excited. Regardless of what they do, regardless of the business practice that is behind it, I definitely gonna pick it up. I want to play it. And really quick shout out to M. Stonewall C, Legend of Dragoon, repping the original reaction-based RPGs. Absolutely.
Yeah. PS1, warbling my polygons.
The warble is real. And you know what, Drix? We are going to jump right into our conclusion tonight. Because you know what? We gotta... like we said earlier, if any of you guys have been watching CFM Radio for any length of time, you will know that the story of Microsoft versus the FTC and how their acquisition of Activision Blizzard was absolutely criminal. Sony took them to court. You know, it was a huge news story that was being updated by the minute from IGN. And we were giving it to you almost every week, every other week. Like,
yeah, it was the talk of the town on CFM Radio.
Yeah, you know, old Phil Spencer and, you know, his friends and all the Sony guys, they all were out there. And the reason why, first of all, the reason why we're telling you this is because the final headline of our show tonight is from Reuters, and it is, quote, Microsoft wins the appeal in FTC challenge to 69 billion Activision Blizzard deal.
Yeah, they rejected themselves or found out otherwise.
Yeah, you know, there was no blocking this.
Safe, I guess. You slid into first or something.
Yep, they, you know, we're gonna, like I said, Drix, this case...
The legal version of baseball.
Yeah, right. I mean, this case had a lot of drama because there were so many leaks. There was so much information shared through...
We learned a lot.
Yeah, through the discovery period. You know, all of the evidence submitted, you could still read it on services like Scribd. I'm sure it's free online somewhere. You could still read all these things. This is where you found out the Microsoft handheld. This is where you found out the Microsoft Game Pass all-in, right?
Yeah. Why they ended up buying all those companies.
Yeah.
How they were putting all their bets on streaming.
Putting all their bets on game streaming.
The quote was, like, if this doesn't go well, we are, quote, exiting the gaming industry.
Yeah, we exit the gaming industry. So they had literally everything writing on this. And, you know, for what it's worth, they have had a couple of wins. For my money, I think that Game Pass is probably the biggest hit or miss in gaming, there are some times
Yeah.
you can subscribe to Game Pass and it's incredible and you have a lot of great games to play. There are other times, not so much.
Yeah, a bit of a rotating cast.
Yeah, it's not very stable as far as, you have a lot of indies and you have a lot of like quirky games and you have a lot of standbys, right? Like Enter the Gungeon, right?
Yeah.
Shit like that. You got a lot of those kinds of games, and those are great games. And they're if you love your Castle Crashers and you love your Minecraft, you're gonna love Game Pass, right? But like the Game Pass, we've had 2 Game Pass games now, almost back to back in South of Midnight versus Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and you could say whatever you want about the aesthetics of either game, but fact of the matter is, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is from all accounts a fantastic game. I haven't played it yet personally. While South of Midnight is pretty much an action platformer from the year 2000. Like a PS2 style action platformer. It's got a unique aesthetic. It's got a great...
has to.
Yeah, it's got a great like story. But like you're fighting the same like 6 enemies and you go into rooms that are like arenas, obvious arenas. And you fight a bunch of samey enemies. And it's like, well, shit. So right there you have a really good barometer of the quality on Game Pass.
Yeah, and anecdotally at least, I feel like Claire Obscura Expedition 33 felt more like a wave, like a palpable wave, because the people I do know that played it like in the last week or so since we announced it coming out, they're like, oh yeah, Game Pass, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a great game. Like, oh cool, now somebody got to tell me that how good it is because they Game Pass subscribers. Like,
and and that's not to say for Claire Obscure Expedition 33, it's not to say that game hasn't sold well. It sold like over 1 million copies in the first weekend. And we found out later that it's a safe to assume that a lot of those copies were PS5, so people were buying the game. So it doesn't matter. For a game like that. I think the thing that Game Pass proves is that if your game is good, that people will buy it and sub to Game Pass at the same time. But if the game is whatever, they're just going to sub to Game Pass and then probably forget about it and like unsub the next month.
Yep, the cream of the crop rising to the top.
Either way, reading further, quote, a 3-judge panel unanimously ruled unanimously ruled that the lower judge had applied the correct legal standard and said the FTC had not shown that it was likely to succeed on its claims that a merger would restrict competition. So, pretty much that the FTC, they could not prove that cloud gaming was a big enough market on its own.
Yeah, they didn't have it cornered exactly. There was still room and competition, consoles and the like.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's a lot of expert opinions on cloud gaming. You could go to Michael Pachter, who regularly lends his advice to the guys over at Sifted.net, SIFTD.net. He has a little show on their YouTube, and as a video game analyst, he seems pretty all in on Game Pass, just like Microsoft. He says that it is the kind of the wave of the future, and that he says that people will totally eventually get to a point where they will pay like $5 a month for Game Pass and have maybe ads on the service, right? So, I'm with you, but that's one expert opinion. There are other expert opinions that disagree. Some of them vehemently. You have the more modest takes, such as the Mr. We were talking about him last week over at Circana. Mr. Give me 1 second here. I gotta just pull up his name, Don't want to
Butcher his name.
butcher a name or misquote or anything like that. Can't. But he is a reliable guy because he's got all of the sales data. Mr. Oh jeez. Here we go. Here we go. Mr. Unprepared, that's me. Like that's this guy. Matt Piscatella. There you go. Matt Piscatella from Circana. He says that Game Pass is certainly not the future of the industry, but that it can have its place. And we've reported on it on CFM Radio, all the different varying opinions from developers. Some say it's great, some say it's not, some say it helps, some say it doesn't. Claire Obscure guys said it helped. The Ori and the Blind Forest guys said that it probably didn't.
Yeah. It's they say the star that burns the brightest burns the quickest sometime.
So,
but we've served both sides of that coin here in our headlines.
And like we were saying, there's a lot of expert opinions that are on both sides of that coin, as Drick said, and there isn't really a consensus on where Game Pass will be. Personal opinion, I think Game Pass is a glorified rental service. I think that it takes the place of a modern day Blockbuster, in that you subscribe to it when a game that you are interested in, like when it enters the service, you subscribe, and then for 1 month it gets you $20 and you play the game that you want.
Yep, absolutely. And for me, it was also, if you have the internet connection, stream the games.
Yeah. And that's another one of those ideas, game streaming. One of those expert opinions comes from old Bobby Kotick, actually. He sat down and did an interview that we talked about a month ago here on CFM Radio, and he in that interview, he was talking about how he believes that cloud-based gaming is misguided, in that he believes that cloud-based gaming, the idea of where that's strongest comes from storage, in that you store your characters, your save files, all of that access is on the cloud, and it doesn't worry about anything happening on the user side. But Bobby Kotick straight up says that your phone, the latest Samsung phone, has a GPU that's more powerful than a PS5. It has Bluetooth, I think he said, 3.5 or something like that. It shoots the whatever is on the phone to a screen with like a lag of like less than 0.5 milliseconds. So, and he says, all of the client side stuff is still going to be, the heavy processing should still come, should be done on the client side rather than the server side. He's like, you people, I believe the words that he said, you people don't know what you're talking about.
Yep. But at the same time, there was an article we did about physical media. Like, if you take that away or stop printing it, you wouldn't be able to get your games to like most of the world. Yep,
exactly. And that's why there's a lot of incentive to keep going with physical media. It's less about the United States, right? It's not about the U.S. The U.S. is kind of in the same boat as like the Southeast Asia lifestyle, in that we're moving towards a pretty minimalist lifestyle, and that revolves around services. But the rest of the world, I think, what is it? South America, they still sell the Mega Drive, right?
Ooh, give me some sweet Mega Drive
Games are much
or
bigger
Genesis.
than just the latest thing.
Yep, widen up the scope for a second here.
Yeah, and because finally, when we're bringing it back to Reuters, and we're bringing it back to our original headline in quote, Microsoft wins the appeal in FTC challenge to $69 billion Activision Blizzard deal. The last word on that is the spokesperson for the FTC quote declined to comment. Microsoft did not immediately respond to a comment either, and the decision came in an antitrust lawsuit filed by the Federal Trade Commission in 2022 against Xbox maker Microsoft. So, this has been a fierce court battle.
Yeah, three years ago now.
Yeah, and, it didn't put any halt on the Activision Blizzard deal whatsoever. That stuff still came to Game Pass.
Yeah, they might have been. Justice might have been done, but if there was any crime, they've gotten away with it now.
Yeah, it really didn't stop them from getting away with anything. And
No.
I think the pundits ultimately were right in this one. I think that because everybody in this one, from Matt Piscatella to Michael Pachter, said that, what the fuck are you doing, Sony? Like, goading the FTC to sue these guys. Like, what's going on? Like, because they also got the EU involved.
Look over here.
Remember?
A distraction. Yeah. No, they got everybody's dirty laundry out on the table.
Yeah, they got everybody's.
It wasn't
dirty
that dirty,
laundry.
really, but
I mean, it was pretty
was your
dirty.
laundry.
Yeah, it was pretty dirty. Like I said earlier, like we were talking earlier in the story, all of these things are things that are happening. All the things that came out, all the plans, all of the planned releases, the plans for Game Pass, PlayStation saying that their idea of Game Pass is probably not something that is sustainable in their opinion. There's a lot of information that came from this case, and it's not, to this day, you could go back and look at all of the stuff that came out in those white papers and just kind of marvel at, wow, we're living in this right now.
It's telling a story, and we're all a part of it.
Yeah. So
as gamers, I think we feel that there is a competition in the markets.
And that's what I think. That's really what we want to end this episode of CFM Radio on. Is that there's a lot of talk about gaming dark age. I feel like a broken record. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah,
gaming
it's almost
dark
why
age,
we do this.
gaming dark age, blah blah. Microsoft dropping out of the console race, yada yada blah blah. I don't think anyone's dropping out of anything anytime soon. Microsoft is on the back foot, sure, but if they get I think really all it takes is one more Expedition 33, and people will buy more Series S's. And every time you get a Series S, you sell 3 months of Game Pass with it, and it just comes in the box. And if you get that guy for a year on your high tier of Game Pass, I mean, that's a lot. Even if you get him for 6 months,
it's a solid strategy.
Yeah, if you do hit that, I don't even think you would need 10 million. If you hit that mark, I think you would need 7-8 million. You might just be able to float. If you hit 10 million, that would just be a kick-ass number. I don't know if that's. I personally don't believe in that. I personally believe that.
There's a place for streaming, and it's Blockbuster.
Yeah, exactly. There's a place for it all. And going back to what Larry and boss Sven Vinke said, and what Bobby Kotick said in court, the idea of game streaming and games on demand inherently devalues the product.
Yeah, we've seen this with other services, music, movies, TV, game.
Yeah.
This is just another step in media and technology doing a little dance.
That kind of might sound harsh at first, right, Drix? But I gotta tell you, Drix is a musician. I'm a
Oh
games
boy.
journalist. You know what I mean? We're in this. We're living this
Yeah.
shit.
Don't get me started on the music industry parallels.
Yeah, no, we've done that. We did that episode. Like, like there's so many sacrifices made in the name of commercialization and commodification to anything that even closely resembles art or some sort of expressive medium. So I agree that it inherently devalues the product by product on a product by product basis. And Drix and I clearly are of one mind in that this is kind of like the new age blockbuster approach. So we'll really see what happens in the real war, which is to me GameFly versus Game Pass.
Yeah. Can't wait to see them duke it out.
So with that, I do believe we are over. CFM Radio is over. Thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thanks for watching the overtime. Always like, going on that last minute rant. Also say no to Studio Ghibli AI portraits and stuff.
Say no to Studio Ghibli AI.
Gonna cost like 2-3 bottles of fresh water every time you generate one of those.
It's what,
Something like that.
2 jet launches.
Yes.
2 jet launches
And,
per AI image.
We might have to shut down a couple blocks of a city's power so you regurgitate something.
Yeah. So
Top music attorneys trying to save the creatives.
Yeah. So do less AI generation. Do less social media doom scrolling. Post on social media less and play more games.
Yeah. Play more games, and I'm Clusterfucked Media and I are always here if you need to talk.
Or if you want a game, we're always here with the latest and greatest, and there's always something for you. I guarantee it.
Yep. Recommendations, music suggestions, or requests.
Always welcome. We are here on YouTube, Clusterfucked Media, that's FUKT Media. On Twitch, CFM on Twitch, twitch.tv/CFM on Twitch. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on everything. We're on TikTok. Check us out, Clusterfucked Media, that's FUKT Media. And Drix, we're out.
Have a good night, everybody. See you next week.